Hey there. Are you just getting started learning about wine? Maybe you don't even know where to start, or you just want to get more into it, but you feel a little intimidated? I get you. I once felt that way too. So I'm here to give you a little advice. Some advice that helped me. So here's the thing. The world of wine, and let's say the general industry branding and marketing powers that be, has shot itself in the foot. It has for so long relied upon this carefully curated image of elegance, finery, and snobbery. And it's built itself up as luxurious and exclusive. For new wine lovers like you and like I was, this is intimidating and off-putting, meaning that sometimes people might be scared to get started. And they might not even start it at all because of that. However, I firmly believe that this doesn't have to be the case. Anyone can enjoy, appreciate, and learn about wine as long as you can sniff what's in your glass, taste what's on your palate, no snobbery needed. You have a valid opinion about wine. And that's why I want to talk about a few tidbits and pointers that might help give you confidence and direction to move forward within this world of wine. So one of the things that really helped me when I first got started was actually one of my teachers in my very first wine course for ICE, the Association of Italian Sommeliers. The instructor started out the class on the very first night by saying that you will not walk out of this course knowing everything about wine. He told us that don't ever believe anyone that tells you they know everything about wine. It's impossible. The world of wine is too vast. And anyone that truly loves wine will always be learning something. And that is what is so beautiful about wine. It's an endless opportunity to learn and to experience. And to be honest, that subjectivity that is within a glass is also the beauty. You can never really be wrong. So because wine is based on experience, it's based on what you've smelled and what you've tasted, what I've smelled and what I've tasted. Sometimes there's genuinely things that we smell in a glass that no one else can either validate or invalidate. And that in and of itself is ridiculously liberating when you feel about it. It means if you smell grandma's carpet in this glass, you are not wrong. It might just smell like your grandma's carpet. Who am I to judge what your grandma's carpet smelled like, right? And one time someone smelled mushrooms. I did not smell mushrooms. I smelled the dirt around porcini mushrooms. It's very different when you've cleaned kilos and kilos of porcini mushrooms. That dirt leaves a very particular stain and smell on your fingers. And what I smelled in that wine was that smell. Not the mushroom smell, but the dirt smell. So be confident in what you're smelling because you're not wrong. You're just going off of your experience. And that means that your wine knowledge is limited to your experience. So the more that you have experience, the more you learn, the more ample descriptors you're going to be able to pull out. The best way to get these descriptors, to get this experience, is by tasting. And let's face it, it's a pretty nice way to learn. We get to drink wine. But the key here is we're not really just drinking it. I say drink, but we're thinking about the wine. We're experiencing the wine. So don't just give your glass a cursory sniff or a quick swallow. Really think about it. Get your nose in there. Pull out the aromas. Swirl it. Look fancy. Really think about each individual characteristic that you're smelling and that you're tasting. These things, this mindfulness of what is in your glass is what truly experiencing wine comes back to. Because what you're doing when we are just practicing like that, you are actually making a database in your mind of all of the different flavors. And you're going to come back to that later on. So the bigger your database is, the more likely you're going to be able to have a really cool descriptor later on. And in all of this tasting, yes, you've got to open a few bottles, but you also don't have to break the bank. Yes, we all want to dream about tasting that $4,000 of Petrus one day, or a $400 of Sassicaia. And you know what? Maybe $2 Chuck isn't really the best wine in the world. But there's also this middle ground between $4,000 and $2 that is actually great for learning. This is around, think $20 or so. So when you're kind of in this range, something important to think about, especially focusing on expanding your experiences are to look for grapes that are kind of a little bit strange, off the beaten path, areas that aren't in the traditional classic areas as well. It gives you great things to talk about what you tasted and all of that stuff. Think of it like collecting Pokemon cards. I'm aging myself maybe as a millennial here, but I didn't necessarily even like to play. I just liked to collect them and get all the different types of cards and all the different evolution of the certain characters. And wine is kind of like that too. I love to experience a new grape and find something new and be like, yes, checked that off. That is what falling in love with wine is really about, all of these new experiences. But sometimes it's not enough. And sometimes, like me, you might want to get more of a theoretical knowledge. So where do we get that? Well, books are a great place to start. There's certain books out there, Wine Folly, Jancis Robinson are classics that are really good foundational books to just kind of have in your library and learn from. And YouTube is a great resource too that is free. And speaking of YouTube, that's where we come in. With Hourglass of Wine, that's what we want to do. We want to share some of our knowledge, give you a little boost, and help you master some of that theoretical stuff that when you go out and you start doing the experience part of this and your homework, let's say, you have a foundational base to understand what's going on behind the glass. I want to talk honestly with you about the world of wine, from making it to growing it to what different types of grapes give different flavors, right? And I want you to be able to grow with us. So you can use this channel as a reference point to base your foundational knowledge on and to learn. So please subscribe, leave a like below to support the channel and to keep up to date as we begin to post new videos that pretty soon are going to start coming out that are really focusing on this foundational knowledge about how to make wine, what types of red wine are the best, those kinds of things. So I will see you with the next glass. Hourglass of Wine. Cheers.